Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird among the heathen, that look like those heathen. This is not a black thing. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And couple videos, well, a video and an article that Apostle Ramlab sent me. I have to respond to it. I was burning to it to respond to it. I think he knew that would be the result through the Spirit. You know, he didn't order me, but it's kind of in order. You know, if I get something from the Apostle, I'm definitely, you know, planning on going in on it. And I'm going to talk about loaded statements and controlled narratives of an article that was put out by the AJC, which is the American Jewish Committee. And so once again, these non-government organizations that, you know, that a particular group of people have here in the country that is not their own, but yet is theirs. But it, you know, and they use it to benefit the issues of them and only their people in America and abroad. And a matter of fact, throughout all the NATO, EU countries that are connected to, you know, America are connected to the B system, all right, to give them favor above all the people, and then, you know, scream anti-semantics when you point it out. But here's and so matter of fact, let me grab a scripture. This is Psalm 64:2, and it says, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrections of workers of iniquity." So let's read the loaded statements. Loaded statements or loaded language are words or phrases that are biased toward a specific view or opinion. They often have strong positive or negative connotations and are often used in advertising or political rhetoric. Here are some examples. Name calling. This is an example of loaded language. I am firm. You are stubborn. He is pig-headed. This is an example of loaded language. Joe is firm in his principles. This is an example of a loaded statement with a positive connotation. Joe is stubborn and closed-minded. This is an example of loaded statement with a negative connotation. All right? So, you know, I don't need to read the whole thing, but you can kind of see where they're going with this, how they control information. All right? So let's go to the next one now. This is controlling a narrative. Controlling a narrative refers to managing how information about a particular issue is presented in order to shape public opinion and maintain a desired image or viewpoint. Janus, which is made up and which is fraud. All right, so here, AJC, American Jewish Committee, not the real Jews. Theme, a phrase claiming today's Jews are not the chosen people referenced in the Bible. And remember, the letter J was newly created, and they hijacked Israelite and replaced it with the J-O-O thing, with the J-ish word. All right, and I'm going to prove that solid with books and references, mainly the Bible, but with books and references by J-ish scholars, rabbis, and historians themselves. All right, so it says, when is something, you know, anti-semantics? While a phrase that has been used by many throughout history, today is commonly used by black supremacists. First of all, it is complete and total hate to call a people who are physically brown black. All right, I've proved it, and look. Matter of fact, let me grab it off since I didn't set it up on the screen. Let's just grab the book off the shelf from behind me. This is the Winston Simplified Dictionary, 1933. encyclopedic edition. All right, with biblical references. Let's just look up the word black and why they decided. Remember, I've done the video with Orlando Jones when he played that God in American Gods, and when he spoke to the slaves on the slave ship, and when he made the statement, and when these Dutch MFers decided to call you black, oh, you don't know you black. That's the name they call you, and that's one of the nice ones. They made it up. Just like they made up the J word, because it's printed in the Bible, but you best believe when you go to the Hebrew and the Greek, that word's not there. Remember that particular word that you're looking at they didn't start using that word until the 1800s. All right. So remember, the letter J wasn't even created until 1534. So the Israelites were never referred to as that J word. Abraham was not Jayish. All right. Isaac was not Jayish. Jacob was not Jayish. All right. That's something that came along much later, and we're going to prove that. But let's look up this word black and why they decided to call you black. And in 1681, referred to themselves as white. They made that up too, because there's no such thing as white or black people. Wow, and this blackamoor is right above black. Because when you look up that word moreno, it tells you that it's a J from the 15th century, 14th century Spain, a Christian or more. So since it's here, we'll look that up. All right, but there it is. We'll read it through the screen. Blackamoor, a Negro, especially an African American. See, they put that title on you too. All right. I don't know why it's not. There it is. Now I can see it. Black, without light, of darkness, the opposite of white. Dark skin as a Negro. Swarthy. Remember, they replaced the word black also with they replaced the word swarthy with black, because swarthy was and tawny were referring to complexion, from a dark brown person to a light brown person, like the typical Negroes. Dismissal, gloomy or forbidding, without moral light, goodness, evil, threatening, clouded with anger, sullen. All right, so they're saying that you're evil without morals. All right, so when they refer to you as black people, they're calling you evil people. So if you replace the word, or they even calling you ugly. So you can, every time you read black people, just imagine, what they're really saying is you ugly, evil people. Ugly, evil people. That may be in the title. But nevertheless, it says the belief that Africans are the descendants of the 12 Hebrew tribes of Israel. And see, you notice they avoid the word Israelite. That's another thing that you find at the J's. They often they avoid that word. They only use it when they absolutely have to. Once again, this is to control. This is to control the narrative. All right. And it does tell you that the 12 tribes would be scattered through slavery. Well, that didn't happen to the J-ish people. All right. So, I don't want to spend too much time on this article, but just to see how what they're doing. Then they even mentioned Louis Farrakhan. All right. What does Islam have to do with the Hebrew Israelites? All right. They actually put the Hebrew Israelite here, but they put black in front of it. You see? Elements of the black supremacy can be found within black Hebrew Israelites. And so what about all the Israelites that are Hispanic and Native American? So this is a false, controlled narrative, which is quickly falling apart. Now let's go to the Bible dictionary right here. Okay. I don't even get, these books just seem to stay out now. I don't even put them back on the shelves. I have two shelves of books, one in the front and one back here. that I often use. But what we're going to look up, this is the New Bible Dictionary. I believe it was printed in 1986. This one was $33. All right, but you can get it online. I've seen it. They want $149 for this one to get it. Wow. Yeah, they want it for $149. All right. So, and most people are not gonna. Times are hard. So, who's gonna spend $149? You know, on a book. All right. But in this book, there's some pretty condemning information concerning the bloodline of the Israelites. All right. Especially when we get to the Maccabees. All right. And also it's proven in here too that the kingdom of Judah, well, they use the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. They never use that Assyrian script that the AJC uses. So the fact that the people in the land of Israel use the Assyrian script is an evidence against them. The house of Judah was never forced to use the Assyrian script. So you have to ask yourself, why did they switch? Well, the main reason that they switched so that they could hide information, all right, and change the language, because that's exactly what they did. Because they speak another language written with the Assyrian Hebrew characters, but not. Matter of fact, let's prove that real quick. Since we're holding the book, now that I said it, and we'll see who's telling the truth, me or the AJC. But from the same Winston Simplified Dictionary with biblical references, 1933. Well, here's the definition of Yiddish. All right. And I have another dictionary, Oxford, it's just too tiny to see. That gives even better breakdown, but Yiddish. All right. Hold on, I'm trying to get it to where it just focuses so you can read it and screenshot it. But it says Yiddish, that J-ish word, a kind of mixed German and Hebrew language spoken or written with Hebrew characters. Adjective, Jewish, see? So it's a whole, as a matter of fact, you can add Slavic in there. It's a German Slavic language spoken or written in Hebrew characters. As a matter of fact, let's go to Luke 8:17, then we'll continue with this information with the Maccabees. Luke 8:17, and it reads, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad." So all these lies are coming abroad. They're being exposed, and by the men of the Lord, through the mouthpiece of the Lord, which is us. All right. Oh, this is what the brother wrote when he sent me this book. Expose them from what they did, for what they did, and hid from within their books. Let's go. Kind, beloved. Yeah, because this was sent to me, by the beloved brother. What are we going to? Oh yeah, the Maccabees. So let's pull up the Maccabees, the bloodline. I'm just going to show you something in this book, and then we're going to show you the and I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna have to really read. They got quite a few. They got a breakdown of the definitions of Judaism. I haven't even read that. I'm gonna have to read that. I know I'm gonna be able to have some fun with that once I do. But here we go. Let's just find the Maccabees. Salakia. Here we go. So here's the bloodline of the Maccabees. What you have to understand is that John, on page 721 in this very book that we're looking at, it reads John Hyrcanus, and I'm gonna put it in the camera first so you can screenshot it. All right, screenshot it. All right. So John Hyrcanus and the Hasmonaean kings, in their campaigns, clearly have the ideal of the Davidic kingdom in mind, which is the Lord's kingdom, and he set David up over it. And there are records of some territories they conquered being and forcibly Judaized, all right, which is something that they made up. That book is not in that word isn't in the Holy Scriptures. That's something that they added, all right, because remember, it's the 12 tribes of Israel, not the 12 tribes of Judah. So here, it gives you the bloodline from sperm, from father to father. Something else Jewish people do. They claim their heritage is through their mothers, but it gives you from Matthias and all his 5 sons, the Maccabees, the sons he begot, all the way down to here, to where they had daughters. All right, and you see Herod the Great sitting there by himself because he became the king over the Israelites for a section, over the Jays, the 4 people who had been forced, because he married the daughter, all right, of Antinogus, or I can't pronounce his name, all right, who was a son of a true son of the Maccabees, all right. So all of a sudden, Herod, because I was watching that show, Those Who Are About to Die, all right, and how the Jayish queen admitted that she was a daughter of Herod. So that was your first conversion. That's where these Jayish people come from. All right, that's where they come from. And then this book right here, with Marcus Eli Ravage, A Real Case for the Jews. I'm holding it in my hand. All right, that's this book right here. It was actually an article, but you can buy it in book form now. But it says, but this is the prologue. It says, written by a Jewish author, originally published. Read it through the screen. Originally published in the Century magazine in January 1928, the article asserts if whites understood the depths of which Jews or JOOs control the countries and their institutions of power, in the way which they wield that power in an effort to destroy our interests, we would rise up and eradicate them immediately. And that was written by this author right here. Okay? And that sort of sentiment now is moving throughout the other Edomites, the other white people that are not Jayish, because their house divided. Remember, the rabbis are pointing out, many rabbis are pointing out that Jayish people are Edom, and then you have Christians. Point out that Edomite Christians, white Christianity is Edom, but then you also have white Christians that are pointing out that Jayish people are Edom. And then there's a video, all right here that we're going to play, called The Last Days. And I'll play a little bit of it. And he goes in and uses a lot of the same scriptures that we do. And this proves that apologists lies, the vocab lies, because he's letting you know that the Edomites have to be here in the last days, at the end of days. The Lord returns to a world ruled by Edom. But there are 2 scriptures that they left out. And I've come to realize that they are horrified of this prophecy. They do not want to touch this prophecy.
Destruction of Esau. Throughout history, the descendants of Esau also known as Edom, have fought against the people of the book and oppressed them. Esau has been in constant rebellion against the Most High, Yahuwah. From ancient times.
And then I also broke down too how Eliezer ben Yehudi in the 1800s added the U, the E, the V, and the O, Latin, Greek vowel points to the Hebrew. That would be that Yiddish that we talk about. And he puts the U where the W should be. So he makes Yahweh, Yahuwah. All right?
To present day, Esau's actions have brought about divine.
So he's going to come against Esau, exposing that they're still around, that they are to be destroyed, that they're still here, but yet he's using their fraudulent way of speaking the Hebrew.
Judgment, culminating in the day of their destruction as foretold in the scriptures. In this video we will explore the final fate of the descendants of Esau. We will examine the biblical prophecies that reveal how his plans against Yahuwah and his people will be utterly destroyed. The story of Esau serves as a powerful reminder that no one can successfully oppose and defeat the will of the Most High, Yahuwah.
And he keeps saying Yahuwah, where it's Yahweh. And he doesn't mention Yahweh Shai. You can't, so yeah, they go off. Even though he tells the truth, he also goes off throughout this video. I highly suggest that you watch it. It's called Esau, the Last Days, a must see. So Esau has to be here in the last days. That part of the message is very, very true, vocab apologists, all you so-called Christians out there. But we're going to go now to the Sephardim in America, this book. All right, and I'm going to read the prologue yet again. All right, remember the Sephardim, and they use that word, the J-ish word, to hijack Israelite, and the Sephardim were those blackamoors, those Morenos, that left Portugal and Spain, some in slavery, some into positions of power, and many of them came over here to America and helped set up early America, even to the destruction of their own people, because in the South, all right, most of these Jakes that I'm speaking of, these Sephardim, these Moors, Morenos, these Moriscos, these secret Jews, as you would call them, they actually helped set up the infrastructure of the 13 colonies, and were in positions of power when the slave ships began to bring their own people from West Africa. All right, and as the slave ships were taking their own people out of the Americas, because you got to remember in 1682, the Negro and the Native American were declared. I mean, the so-called African slave and the Native American were referred to together as Negroes. And now they've made Negroes exclusively a black thing, and a lot of so-called natives were reclassified as Negroes, thus creating that confusion. That's why you got this movement out here of these Israelites that are trying to say that the natives were all black, or so-called, so-called black. Oh, I hate that word. That black word and that J-ish word, man. Those are demons, all right, because they're both clouded and hidden in cloaks of fraud. All right. So let's read what Martin A. Cohen and Abraham J. Peck, Edomite J-ish people, all right, what they had to say about the Ashkenazi and the Sephardim, the differences between the two, right? And I've already provided, and once again, the water to the brother Zahar for these books, because this brother got these books to me just off me mentioning them, all right, so that I can use them to edify the body. But here in the prologue of Sephardim in America, Studies in Culture and History, it says, in the year 1992, the observance of Columbus Quinitary marked the special moment in history of the American J-ish experience. For a brief time, the historical spotlight was able to shine on a group of J's whose ancestors left Spain about the same time that Christopher Columbus undertook his journey and discovery. So we know that when the Moors were ruling, so why would there be Edomite, pale J-ish people in Portugal and Spain when the Blackamoors were ruling. All right, because you had the Moors, who were definitely Islam, but they were worshiping Islam, but they were Israelites by race. Can't deny that part. And many of the people among them still honored the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, knew that they were, so that's a fact. They ruled Portugal and Spain for 700 years, and Spain fell in 1492. Duh. There's no argument there. So we know who these J-ish people were. They were not these people. They weren't Benjamin Milkowski, also known as Netanyahu. All right. The Sephardim who identified themselves according to their prayer rituals, whose names comes from the biblical designation for Spain, were the first significant group of Jewish immigrants to settlement in the Americas. They dominated religious, social, economic life, American Jewry during the colonial and early federal periods. Yet by the middle of the 19th century, they had become part of the American Jewish myth and were viewed as grandees of the American Jewish society, an aristocrat, all-corrected group that had all but vanished as a factor of later history of American Jewish life. Why? Here's why. In the years between 1881 and 1924, the great period of the East European Jewish immigration to the United States, a second and lesser known group immigrants left the shores of Europe and Asia. Europe and Asia is the same place, to find a home in the Americas, and spoke Judeo, Spanish, Greek, Arabic, and also claimed the Sephardic heritage. These religious practices, sung, poetry were all their own, although they were Jays from Turkey, Greece, Syria, Balkans, and East European Jays. They may as well have been from another planet. They spoke Yiddish, didn't say Hebrew, and carried no recognizable Jewish surnames. To the already established Sephardim, they could only be a distant relatives, which is a lie, relegated to the status of Oriental Levantine Jews, but not deserving a true Sephardim status, because they were the Ashkenazi Edomites, claiming Ashkenazi. They lied about that. We provided more than enough evidence to prove this point. All right, so now let's finish with this. Use it yesterday. We're going to use it again. All right. Rabbi Yaakov Shapiro. We'll let him say it, and I don't have to say it.
Orthodox Jew. Well, that's why I haven't been in a movie theater for 50 years. And to me, Judaism, being a Jew, means one thing. Judaism is not a culture, chicken soup. I met Gilad the first time in a kosher deli on Broadway, and he sits down and he says, first thing he says is, opens the menu and he says, "What's the most Jewish food?" So first thing I said, there's no such thing as Jewish food, because Judaism is not an ethnicity, but if you want to know which food Jews would probably eat most, order the sushi. Being Jewish is not an ethnicity. Being Jewish is not a culture. Being Jewish is not even a blood family. You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to a blood family. You cannot convert to a race. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
And this is one of the prophecies, one of two, that they fear the most and they don't like to talk about. And we'll close with this. All right, because in that video that I showed you, the must-see video, he brought out a lot of solid scripture, but he completely, totally ducked and dodged this one. Ezekiel 36:5. They do not like to go, they will not. All right, it says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their hearts, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey." They will not go into the prophecy that the J-ish people, the Edomites, the Idumean Edomites, in the last days took the possession of the Holy Land and claimed the heritage of the Israelites. Isaiah 63 verses 1 through 4 makes it very clear that Yahushai, which they did not acknowledge in the video either, he kept saying Yahuwah, which is Yahweh, which is Yahweh, returns to a world ruled by Edom. And the fact that the AJC, the ADL and APAC exist here in Babylon in the belly of the beast is evidence of that. All right, the truth is coming out. All right, Second Ezra, let's get this one and finish. 6 and 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Esau, Edom, has to be ruling at the end of the world. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Nawashai Bahasham Rakahak Wadash Kwam Yasurala Abad Babal.